Here is a slideshow that I put together of a project that I did at my house. My wife wanted a greenhouse, and I just kind of thought of a different way to build it. We're going to wrap it with some type of a fabric. It's tulle, and you'll see at the end of the video what the shed looks like. But she wanted something that would keep out some of the bugs. We have a problem with a few insects, aphids, and a couple other insects that tear up her plants. And she wanted to be able to grow them in an area. So I built something. Now, I used screws for this project because I wanted to be able to take it apart. I also want to point that out. Now, before I get too far into the video, I wanted to kind of give you an idea of what I did here. I put together a video, and I put some pictures on a website, and I put together a book. It's available in paperback or ebook, and you can get it from Amazon or Google has it. And just be careful when you go to Amazon. If you do go to Amazon to get the book and you want the paperback, make sure that you select the paperback edition. It'll take you to a little box, and Kindle is the first one. Kindle is their ebook. So make sure that you select the right one. And I've never had that happen. I've never had anybody complain about that. But I did notice that when I was on my phone looking through everything. So you can kind of see here, for those of you who, you got some experience in building, you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm putting together a frame here, and the frame components are going to be attached together. The roof rafters and the wall framing studs are going to be attached with plywood, and I got a 1x6 that I shaped for the ridge, kind of acting as a collar tie and kind of a little bit of a rafter tie. Now, the materials that I use, you can see here, construction standard lumber and plywood. The plywood is exterior grade plywood. I do not know how well that's going to hold up. And if that's not something that you're happy with, then by all means you can use other materials and even metal hardware, some straps, something like that, or mending plates. Now, I do need to point out that some of the stuff I do around my house, they're experiments. I'm kind of trying to, see what's going to last, what's not going to last. And what inspired me to build this particular greenhouse this way was a couple of videos that I watched where people were doing stuff, and I'm like, there's no way that's going to last. But I kind of made a few adjustments and improvements to this particular building, and I'm curious to see how it's going to last. And of course, I will report on that in the future. Maybe every couple of years I'll do an update and put a link to that video in the section on the website where you can go to. There will be a link in the video description box, and I'll probably put one in the comment area to the website where the pictures are and where the book is. And even some of the things, if you look at some of the components in the frame, they're not perfectly tight. I didn't use a miter saw, I used a skill saw. And like these don't look too bad, but I got a couple that I'm like, oh no, this is, it's kind of embarrassing. But you don't have to, kind of trying to give some inspiration to do-it-yourselfers. If you have a miter saw, something like that, you're going to be able to get all these components to fit awesome. Now the miter saw that I have, I didn't feel like breaking it out. I'm a skill saw guy. What can I say? I was trained as a rough carpenter, and my finished carpentry skills aren't ever going to be desired by most people. I have to say. So just kind of offering some hope out there to someone who's going to build this as a do-it-yourselfer. Do all your cuts have to be perfect? No. Do you have to miter all the corners? No. You can, like you can miter the corner to where the fascia board right there hits the edge of the frame. That could have been a mitered cut, and everything would have looked a little nicer in there. And again, you can see the frames, just stick them up. Now I'm starting to put my shelving blocks in. And the shelves, I think, were 19 and 38 inches off of the ground. You can make yours at different heights. And again, like I said, I screwed everything together so that I could take the entire greenhouse apart if there was a problem. Now, it wouldn't be a bad idea to check with your local building and planning department to make sure that you can have something like this, or where it might need to be located on your property. This is in our front yard where everyone can see it, and it's been there for about a month. Nobody's complained about it. But that doesn't mean that the city if they come up and they say, hey, you got to take that down. We don't want to see that. Neither do your neighbors. Well, guess what? I can unscrew the whole thing and move it to the backyard. Something else I would like to point out is that you could use treated lumber. This is all construction standard Doug fir. And, if you're in an area where you're going to get a lot of rain, something like that, you're going to have to use other materials. Now, this shed right here, I'm not bolting it to the foundation. If a strong wind comes up, it could actually blow it over. I got that. Well, I can probably lift this back up if it did. The plants, of course, will be providing us with some additional weight also. Now, I did use, I had a bunch of scrap boards that I got from old wood shipping crates that I took apart. And that's what I'm using for my shelving, except for where the seat is. I think I used a 1x6, some 1x6 there. But everything else is from some shipping crates. Give you some ideas if you want to save some money on materials. And I'm sure you could build this whole thing here with shipping crates if you put your mind to it. And no, it's probably not going to be a project I'm going to be providing you guys and gals with. But there you can see coming together the shelves. You can design your shelves. You can use plywood if you want, use other materials for your shelving, and even build the shelves a little different. But also keep in mind that the shelvings are going to provide structural strength for the shed. After it's done, you can take your braces off. Now, we did cover it with a fabric that's called tulle, and you can get that. I want to say that all the fabric here, it's a cheap fabric. Again, it's a test. We don't know how well it's going to hold up, but I think it cost about $12 or $13 from an online company. And, we're just wrapping it around there. The main goal is to keep the insects out. And so far, it hasn't been able to keep the small insects out, but we can't tell if they are in there, if we're bringing them in with the plants or not. Now, here I'm building the door, and not too difficult, but I did go down to the lumber yard and select some Primo lumber for this. And actually got it cheaper, because some of the lumber that doesn't move real fast, like these 1x4 fence pickets, they don't move real fast at the lumber yard. And so they lower the price. And it's actually cheaper to build a fence out of that than it is out of the 1x6 or the 1x8 after I figured the pricing on it. Now, the door, I left almost a 1/4 of an inch gap in some areas because I'm worried about the wood swelling. This is a dry wood that I'm putting together using for the door. So I left plenty of room. I have had problems with that in the past. And I put a little door stop on there for it because, like I said, we're trying to keep some of the bugs out. Now, some of you are probably wondering how long this took. I worked on it 5 hours one day, 5 hours the next day, and about 3 hours on the last day. And so it wasn't that difficult of a project to build. I don't think it's going to be that difficult for do-it-yourselfers either. So again, if you're looking for a little more information, go to the website. You can go through the pictures a little slower at your own pace there. And of course, I designed the website so that you could watch the pictures. You're on your phone, you got a computer there, or a tablet. You can go through the pictures during each process or each step of the way, and I think there's enough information in there. If there isn't, then definitely go get the book and check that out, and that should provide you with enough information to get the project done.